Hey, what's going on? Rylan here in the garage gym, and we're sitting over here in our padded floor area and talking about these Dollarmur mats. And I'm just going to give a quick little review on the Dollarmur mats. It's been a couple years now since we've had them, and a few things that I would have done maybe a little bit differently. First of all, these are the 1 1/8" thick. Basically, they're like a roll-up mat that they sell at Dollamur, and they're the martial arts mats. I think a lot of their mats are similar depending on whether it's wrestling, gymnastics, or wherever. It might be the same exact mat, to be honest. But the difference with when we were buying our mats, I had to make a choice on the texture, and there was two choices: was the Tatami texture, which is kind of more of an aggressive texture to the mat, or the smooth. And it was really hard to kind of make that decision. I was really going back and forth. We want to be able to train wrestling on these mats, and my jiu-jitsu, my kids train jiu-jitsu quite a bit, and they also do gymnastics, that type of thing, and also do some kickboxing on the mats. So I didn't want a really slippery, smooth mat. Well, I'm pleased to say that the smooth version isn't smooth. It does have a texture, and it's just the perfect amount of texture. I'll show you some pictures as I'm talking here to kind of show you what I'm talking about. But don't be afraid to buy the smooth version. There is a texture to it. You're not going to slip on it even if you're getting sweaty, and it's not textured enough to really give you any skin rashes or anything like that on your toes, or if you're rolling around. It should be pretty good on skin burns, that type of thing. The Tatami mats are going to be more aggressive, but for me, this is the perfect textured mat, is the smooth. So that's an easy one if anyone's looking at which one to get. The smooth is going to be able to do just about everything, and it's probably the most all-rounded mat choice that you could make. So that's my first recommendation, is buy the smooth texture. The next thing is, and I don't know if you can actually see that, and that, I'll have to go back here, but when you buy these mats, unless you get a giant custom piece, and I probably should have done that, but if you're like me and you're going to buy a few sections, there's 4 mats here, and they all have a seam. So I opted to buy 4 individual mat pieces and then have tape and tape them together. I regret doing that. So what I should have done instead was buy the mats with the Velcro built into them. And what that does is allows you to Velcro each section of mat to each other, and there's a recess so the Velcro sits nice and flush, and that would basically hold all your mats together as one piece. What I have to do is use this tape right here. I'll show you that in the picture. So I have to tape up these mats, and I just actually stopped doing it because it's kind of a pain, and the tape only lasts a few months. It basically shrinks up after you put them down from the heat changing and the temperature changes inside the garage. The tape sort of just wears out. So you end up having to go through tape every 2 or 3 months throughout the year, and it also leaves a really ugly kind of residue on the mat. I think it doesn't look that good. Bugs and stuff will tend to stick to it as well, and it's very hard to get the tape to sit perfectly level. So you're always going to have that little thickness of the tape to catch your toenail on or whatever. Is it ideal? Yeah, I mean, it works fine. The tape is more designed for setting up temporary mats, like at a wrestling tournament or something like that. So my recommendation for anybody looking to build a section like this is go with the Velcro together mat sections first of all, and if that is something that you can afford to spend more, buy a custom piece and just buy the entire section that you're trying to lay a mat down on, and buy it as one piece so you don't have any of these seams, because no matter what you do, even if you tape them, even with the Velcro, sweat and hair and all that stuff's going to always find a way through these seams in the mat. There's just no way around that. So those are my 2 recommendations. Don't do the tape version unless you want to set up a temporary mat system. Get the Velcro, and then also or do a custom section. And Maybe down the road, we'll sell these and buy a one-piece custom mat. That's possible, but for now, this works just fine. One other thing to mention is this is sitting on a floating floor, and I'm going to do a review. If I get enough people interested in that, I'll do a review on how to DIY your own floating floor, so you've got a floor that you can practice judo on, wrestling, whatever, and not be worried about hurting yourself. These mats, I can pull this one up right here. On their own, they're not super thick. So kind of what I'm getting at is, if you were to lay one of these mats down on concrete and start doing some heavy throws and some heavy training on it, you're going to feel it quite a bit. Like I said, they're not super thick. They do work, but for me, especially with the kids training on these rings here and flying all over the place, we needed a little bit more padding for some bigger falls. So that's why we ended up building this platform. But just be aware that if you just buy those mats, they'll be great for jiu-jitsu, they'll be great for some grappling, but I wouldn't recommend them for doing any type of judo training. I think you probably end up hurting somebody if you start throwing people too hard down on those mats. So that's my 5-minute review on the Dollarmur mats. Again, these are a couple years old. They're very durable, great quality mats. I highly recommend them. I just wanted to share a few tips and things that I've found from having them over the years that we would have done differently. So thanks for watching. If you're subscribing to the channel, we just review tons of garage gym stuff, and I just basically go around the gym and give feedback on stuff that we've bought and how we've built things and things we do differently. So appreciate the subscribers and the followers. Have a good one. We'll see you on the next one.